My friend, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast, a podcast that brings you exclusive interviews from experts all over the world with life-changing work that you didn't even know existed. I'm your host, Prima Jobs, a partner for those that are ready to take their life-changing work in front of those whose life or business depends on it. Please follow or subscribe for more. Welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast once again. You know, there's like millions and millions of podcasts that you could be on today. We chose this one. I don't know why, but I want to say that I appreciate you, I celebrate you, and I honor you, and I do not take your presence, your attention for granted. And so I hope that today you're going to find this as helpful as I know that you will. Today is a special day, and today we're going to serve couples. There's many reasons why couples fall apart, but from my own experience, if you can't figure out the money and how to spend it, that can be a very big problem. Most people make money, no problem. Most couples make money, no problem. Spending the money. What do we spend on? What don't we spend on? How do we go about spending money? I found that is one of the things that really, really bring friction in couples. And so my speaker today is somebody that has dedicated her work to helping couples deal better with money, manage their finances better. I really cannot wait to dive into this conversation because I feel like it's going to not only help you manage your money better, but it's going to help ease the tension in your marriage, in your relationship. And so with me today is Kristie Reph. Kristie is a psychologist, is the psychologist of your wallet. That is a statement that we came to when we were backstage the other day, inspired by her 34-year-old son. She's been for 3 years at it as an experienced financial coach. So she's been doing this work for 3 years. She's been happily married for 26. And she credits her ability to manage finances to the peace and calm and success of her marriage. Kristie is someone that has lived and breathed debt. She's been able to pay off $290,000 in debt among everything else that she's been through. And what she's doing now is helping couples with the same thing she's gotten herself out of. How do you get out of debt? How do you get out of this state of where is the food going to come from? Where's the school fees for the kids going to come from? Where's the thing going to come from? You're not spending the money right, and blah, blah, blah. How do we get out of that place where you're fighting and having really hardships in marriage because you have no idea where your money is going? Kristie believes that money has ears, and you have the ability to tell it where to go. And consciously or not, you are telling your money where to go every day. And today, I cannot wait to dive into what she's created, what she's built, how she helps people. And hopefully, we can move a step or 2 or 3 ahead of, getting money, and then you wake up and the money is gone. It's like every time you receive money, there is something ready to take the money. And today, Kristie is going to help us understand how to manage our money better. Need I say more? Kristie, welcome to the world's best kept secret podcast. I feel so honored that you said yes to the invitation.
Good morning, and thank you so much for allowing me on the show. I'm really excited to talk to you about this today.
Wow. Before I even get ahead of myself, could you summarize for people what you do? Because I have a PhD in moving around circles when I start talking about people's work. Could you tell the audience what you do?
Genuinely, what we were talking about the other day is I am really the psychologist for your wallet. I help you understand finances. I help educate you about finances, where your money's going. Start to help you develop goals around your relationship with money and where you want to go in your life. A lot of people don't even have goals set up for where they want to go. They're just kind of riding by the seats of their pants.
Mm,
Um, I help create a personalized plan for you to develop this relationship with your money and to guide you towards a dignified retirement.
mm,
And also, we lay the foundation for you to be able to create your wealth legacy.
mm.
So, that in a nutshell is about what I do.
I love that. I love that. Would you love to share your story a little bit so people can understand that, you know, you didn't read a book and started doing this work? I'd love for you to dive in and tell us about your story and how you got here.
Um, I, so starting at the beginning, I was a 16-year-old pregnant teenager when it wasn't a popular TV show.
Mm,
So that started off my financial situation in the hole because A, I was never taught about finances, and B, I was thrown into the world at 16 and said, oh, by the way, now you're an adult.
mm,
So my first husband and I were not good for each other, where there was domestic violence, there was constant fighting, and everything. We developed the attitude then that credit cards were good. They got us out of financial trouble, quote
mm,
unquote.
mhm,
But what it actually did was created a very, very lifelong pattern of using, excuse me, using debt.
mm,
Um, so once I got out of that marriage and I married my second husband, we decided that we would both work, obviously, and um, we both made halfway decent money. But we got to a point where my husband, his grandfather was getting older, and so we had to have him move in with us. So we had to buy another piece of property and build a house, incurring more debt,
mm,
because we couldn't find a house that was handicap accessible for him at that point. But anyway, um, like I said, it just created this whole whirlwind of, we can't pay this bill, so let's put it on this card. We can't do this. We can't go on this vacation. Let's put it on that card. And it just created this tornado of problems that I didn't even really acknowledge were problems because I thought I had a quote unquote budget, but what I was doing was just paying bills.
mm,
That's not necessarily what a budget does.
mm,
Um, so fast forward to 2011, I found a flyer in my hospital where I'd started working as a CNA that said, oh, hey, there's this free Dave Ramsey program. Come and check them out. So that's what I did. And we went through the whole program. We never missed a session. We implemented his system. That only lasted for a couple of months. And then we were back to square one, back to doing the same things we were doing again.
well,
So it's not been an easy path for me, but in 2014, I was overwhelmed sitting at the dining room table and I was like, enough.
mm,
This is crazy.
mm,
You look at the amount of interest I was putting out was $1,250 a month.
mm.
just in interest alone,
Wow.
not including my house. My house was paid off. I had paid that off when we moved.
Mm.
Um, so I decided to become a traveling nurse, excuse me, make some more money and start going after the debt. It would have taken me a whole lot less time to do if I had had a coach because I would have been a little bit more accountable to what I was doing.
Mm.
But I definitely put my nose to the grindstone and did it. So 8 years, I paid off $290,000 worth of debt.
Wow. Wow. So I know you said you did Gordon Ramsay's program, but then you were back to square one. What was missing there? What didn't you know after taking Gordon Ramsay's program? What did you find that kept you going back to square one?
The behaviors,
Hmm.
the mindset,
Hmm.
the attitude of I work hard, quote unquote, so I deserve it.
Hmm.
The That was part of it. The other true underlying cause was I was a shopaholic.
Hmm. So shopping
Just,
is an addiction as well.
oh yes. Oh yes.
That's new. So if
There,
somebody just can't get out of shopping, that's something that needs to be addressed.
yes. It's just like any other addiction. Drugs, alcohol, weight, you
Mm,
know. Um, you get this high. It's a physical, emotional feeling of going out and shopping.
mm,
And I broke that by when we were in Maryland, we had a 5,200 square foot house. We
mm.
moved to South Carolina, we were down to a 2,000 square foot house. When I went to start traveling, I moved into a 35-foot camper.
Wow.
So in my camper, there's physically nowhere to put things, right? You
Mm.
can't just go out and buy things because you wanted to buy things. So you had to learn to deal with those underlying emotions of
Mm,
why you were going out and shopping. Why was this so important? Why was this feeling coming up in you?
mm. I know that you have taken Gordon Ramsay's program, but you've also added your own swing to things. And so what I'd love to do is kind of, if I was in a place where there's just never seems to be enough money, we're always struggling. Where is the rent gonna come from? Where is the next trip gonna come from? Where is the next meal gonna come from? Where is the next, set of money to pay bills? If we're struggling to pay the bills and we know that we can't save even a dime, take me through that process of what am I missing and what is step one to step five or step six or seven or the process. What is involved in moving from money slipping through my hands to actually having a dollar to pay $1 of the credit card that I have, because I feel like I am just in survival, and saving or paying back the debt is not even on the table because I feel like I don't have enough money. Walk me through recovering from that to a place of maybe you need to pay $1 per day till that debt gets paid off. Walk me through that because I thought that was was really powerful.
Um, a lot of people don't look at their finances
Hmm.
thoroughly.
Hmm.
They see the bill, but they don't see the bill.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is that people see a piece of paper in front of them, they don't have the clue of how much that's actually costing them.
Hmm.
And as far as getting through each day without having money, like you were saying, you have to look at all of the areas of your life where you're spending money. So I tell my clients when I first bring them on to start saving your receipts for the first 30 days of everything you spend in your life. I don't care if it's gas, I don't care if it's a Starbucks coffee. You put that receipt in an envelope, and at the end of the month, you will see where your money is going.
Mm.
And a lot of people have other places where money is slipping through the holes of subscriptions and um, putting money where it doesn't really need to go right at this minute. So some people put extra money on some bills and not on others. And so you got to kind of get that budget dialed in
Mm.
and get it on paper.
Mm.
And then when we get to that point, when you understand where your money's going, then we kind of dial in the budget a little bit more as far as looking at your patterns of spending.
Mm.
And that becomes enlightening in a lot of ways because people don't understand that their money is better spent in one way or another.
Mm.
And that's one thing I hope I help them understand is you may not feel like you can pay the rent, but if you've got a paycheck coming in, you can shore up your base expenses,
Mm.
usually.
Mm.
And I say that with a caveat, obviously. There's extenuating circumstances to everybody's situations, I'm sure,
Mm.
that I've found especially. And then getting that mindset piece to change, that behavioral pattern, underlying mindset.
Mm.
People have to understand that money, like you said before, has ears, but it's actually an energy. So if you have money going out and nothing coming in, you feel like you are drowning, like you are like the air is being sucked out of you because you don't have that flow of money coming.
Mm. Mm.
You have to figure out where your goals are as well.
Mm.
So looking at your short-term goals versus your long-term goals. And I know that for people that are in that rock bottom, I don't necessarily know where the rent's going to come from, don't feel like they have goals, but
Mm.
you really do. I mean,
Mm.
you just have to stop that negative record in your head and start looking at the facts.
Mm.
Because, like I tell people, me paying off that debt was a decision.
Mm.
It may not seem like that in the minute, but it
Mm.
really is. I mean, think about anything you've done in your life, whether it's moving houses or some people move countries.
Yeah.
What starts it? A decision,
Mm.
right? So when you get to that point, then you gather all your information, you get everything in black and white, down on paper, in an Excel spreadsheet, whatever the case is,
Mm.
and start going after it. Did
So
that kind
I'm
of
going to
answer?
read for you so you can see if I've missed something. The first thing is, I think the first thing is to make a decision to change the situation. In as much as it is to save the receipts, I think it is the decision to say, you know what, I'm willing to change my financial situation, and maybe it's in my power to do that. I think there has to be a point where you reach and you're like, you know what, I'm just tired of living hand to mouth. I'm just tired.
Yes,
So then
exactly.
after that, was it the first step to start saving your receipts, or is there a step before that that I've missed?
Well, the step before that is to, like you said, say enough is enough and
Mm.
look at definitely where you feel like your money is going as far as the entire household.
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
then save your receipts. Yeah.
So step one, enough is enough. Sometimes people are not ready for that. But if you know that enough is enough, then you're in the right place, because the first thing is to really get done with living hand to mouth. You know what? Enough is enough. Maybe there is more to life than worrying about my next bill every 2 seconds. So I put my foot down. Enough is enough. I want a better life. You don't have to know the how, but the decision has to start within you. Enough is enough. Now, the second
Exactly.
thing is, where is your money going? That's a question you need to no, I don't think you're yet there. I think after enough is enough, then now let's start understanding what we are spending on. Is it?
Yes.
What are we spending on? We don't know, because all we know is money comes and it slips through. We really don't know. We think we are paying the bills, but really we're spending on some stuff that we maybe don't have to spend on. And so what are we spending on? The best way to know is to start getting a receipt for everything you do, hopefully a physical receipt, and have it in your house. And I will be asking her about the use of cash and use of electronic kind of payments, because I think there's a difference there. But you need the receipts. Once you see where the receipts are going, as you gather those receipts, create a budget. Right? What is it that you actually want to spend on? What are the things that you're aware of that you want to spend on? Because you might be wanting to pay rent, and you may wanting to be paying kids something, and you may be wanting to do this thing. But really all you're doing is every day on Starbucks, buying stuff you don't need. And so what do you really on the conscious level know you need? Because what you need and what you're spending on, you'll be shocked, might be two different things. And then after creating the budget, now you gather your receipts and you answer the question, so where is the money going? Which will be right there. What are the patterns? You'll be surprised at how many things you're spending on every day that you don't even think you're spending on, because it's now in the subconscious. It's now automated. It's something that you can live without. It's not particularly something you think you want, but every day you're spending on that thing. What is that? After that, create some goals or write down your goals and kind of go, what do I want to really do? I want to pay off my date. I want to go for a vacation with my family. I want to, whatever the thing you want. You start having some goals. And after having those goals, what am I supposed to do, Kristie? Now I have the goals. I know what I want. What is the next step?
To start working towards those goals. And whether that is paying off the debt or getting the vacation, what I mean by that, excuse me, what I mean by that is if you have to get more income, then that's what you do.
Mm.
You go out and get a side hustle, you go out and start a business, do whatever you have to do to get more money coming in.
Mm.
If you find when you set your budget up that there's extra money, then obviously that needs to go into a separate account,
Mm.
whether it's a savings account or whatever, to where you are not able to touch it quite as quickly, so that you have that set up for your goal to get to that end point.
Mm.
And some people can do that with the money that they have now, like I said, and some people have to go out and get that income. And people are like, well, I'm already working 40 to 50 hours a week. Okay, well, there's a whole lot of people out there that work 100 hours a week.
Mm.
So it's a matter of how clear is your goal and how much do you want it?
Mm.
Those are the questions you have to ask yourself.
Mm.
And for me, I wanted out. I wanted to be to zero in a bad way.
Mm.
And it definitely, like you were saying, it is a decision every single time you go out. Is this a want or is this a need?
Mm.
Those are the questions you have to ask of every single purchase you make for the little bit until you get that behavior under control. Like you were
Mm.
saying, is it really a necessity that you go to Starbucks every day?
Mm. Is it even important to you?
Exactly.
Mm. I know a friend who used to go to the bar every night, And I would ask him, like, why do you have to go to the bar every night? And they said, I don't know, my friends are always there. And they say, but do you want to go? Like, is that your thing? He's like, actually, don't enjoy it. Because he would always complain about these guys and they're drinking and they're having random girls. And then I was like, you don't seem to stop going. Yet every time I see you, you're complaining about your friends. What is it about you that forces you to go to the bar? And he was like, I don't know. I was like, so do you spend money when you go? He's like, yeah, a lot. And I'm like, so what's the point of that? And he was doing it every day, every couple of days, every weekend. And they were even doing trips and he was spending so much money, but he didn't really care about that thing. And so I really
Mm-hmm.
get what you mean. Like, do you want it or do you need it? So I want you to help me. If I'm a shopper, I'll call shopaholic at this point, and I just can't stop getting to the shops. And maybe every time I go to the shops, I have to buy fuel and fuel the car. And there's other expenses that come with going to the shops. How do I get myself to stop shopping? Is it by going into a smaller house and like you did, like get out of your house and get into a tent or whatever? How should I think through my behavior? Because we can say it here, but I know it's hard because it's really like an addiction.
It is like an addiction,
Mm.
and for the most part, you have to stay away from your drug of choice.
Mm.
I know that that sounds kind of, a baby, a way to talk to a baby, but that's what you have to do. You have to stay away from the bottle. You have to stay away
Mm.
from the shops. You have to stay away from the drugs. You have to
Mm.
get yourself out of that environment first and foremost. And secondly, is asking yourself every single time you go to purchase something, is this a want or is this a need? And
Mm.
then there's another trick that I learned, and actually a couple, but I'll tell you one.
Mm.
You put your hand on your heart when you pick something up, and if your heart is racing, that means that it's something you want. If it's
Mm.
something you need, your heart is going to be calm. It's
Mm.
not going to be as high of a rate.
Mm.
So when you put that back on the shelf, if that hurt your heart, then you know that that's a want. If it didn't hurt, it's a need.
Wow.
And another trick is giving yourself time on your purchases. So, like a lot of people have an Amazon addiction now. They put a
Mm.
lot of things in their Amazon cart and they'll just randomly pay for the entire cart. My direction there is put it in your cart and wait 24 hours before you purchase anything.
Mm.
If you come back the next day and it's still something that you need,
Mm.
again, asking yourself that want versus a need, then you can purchase it. If
Mm.
it's not something you need, take it out of the cart completely, delete it. And that has helped several of my clients doing that. And especially for your bigger purchases, however much it is in dollars, is the amount of hours you have to wait to purchase it.
Mm. I
So if it's
remember.
$100, then you have to
Mm.
wait 100 hours to make that purchase.
I remember. I used to buy like 10K, 20K coaching programs on the spot. I'd meet somebody on a podcast. I would love them. I would go find a thing, I'd pay 10 grand, and then I would go, this was really not the best choice I could have made. And I don't refund. It's not in my bloodstream to refund. And so one day I remember I paid for a 5 grand offer and it turned out to really be so bad. And in that moment, I made a decision that if I see an offer I want, I'm going to give myself 24 hours. But now you're saying you have to give yourself the hours on the dollar. So if it's 10,000, you need 10,000 hours. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I did 24 and now I do 24. So I need to kind of do, wow. Okay, that's a process. I probably, I don't know if I don't know. Maybe no one will buy anything if they have to wait 10,000 hours.
Well, I think that the issue is that you have to figure out what your time frame is.
Hmm.
In the beginning, you need that. accountability to yourself and that
Mm,
discipline.
mm,
When you get to a point where you get this under control and you get your patterns, your
mhm,
spending patterns down, you
mhm,
might be able to guide that back a little bit.
mm,
I don't expect you to wait 417 days to purchase a $10,000 product. Okay. But what I do expect is that you wait a good week.
mm, mm,
You do your investigations,
mm,
you do all your due diligence
mm,
and investigate to see if that's the best option for you. And what we call that is SMART, SMART goals.
mm.
And that helps you figure out whether that is the right thing for you to be doing.
I don't think it really needs even a lot of time. I think you may want something in the moment, but give yourself a day and you're like, I no longer want it. But in the past, I was someone who probably would go buy a private jet if I had the money instantly. And I used to call that precision or being decisive. But really, it was a money problem because I didn't care how much it was. If in my heart I wanted it, I'd pick it. But the problem is, I was playing with five figures. That was my problem. If it was $10, I probably wouldn't have noticed. If it was 20, I wouldn't have noticed. It would have been a $10,000 purchase. And when I look back, it's been an hour and I have made my decision and I have bought the thing. And I'm like, hey, you don't even know this expert 1 hour ago existed. How did you spend $10,000? And so I think what you're saying really helps because sometimes just sleeping over it, you wake up very clear whether you want it or not. So take us through what are some of the things that keep us stuck in that, hand to mouth. What are those things that seem normal, but they keep us stuck in this roller coaster of spending money. No, like not really being conscious about is this debt I'm paying off? There is vacation I'm working towards. Or even start working towards the vacation, and then something happens and we just pull out the money. What keeps us stuck from saving money or putting money in the right place? What are some of those habits, patterns, or whatever that keep us stuck in this place where we just, for years, all we do is accumulate debt? Can you talk to that?
Very much so, I can talk to that.
Mm.
I have been there and done that. And like I said, it is all about behavior. It's all about mindset.
Mm.
It's all about, is your why what you're doing clear enough?
Mm.
And what I mean by that, Prima, is that things are going to happen.
Mm.
Okay. I tell every single one of my clients, every single one of my students, you will not get through this program without something happening. And not
Mm.
that I want to speak negativity over people, I speak positivity over people. But what it is that the universe, however you feel about that, I believe in God. So I believe that the devil tries to throw in little roadblocks. Are
Mm.
you serious about getting to that goal? Are you serious about doing that vacation? Are you serious about whatever your goal is, getting to retirement?
Mm.
And I tell the story all the time. The last payment was made on my debt, and my truck broke down, and my dog needed $2,500 worth of dental work.
Mm.
What was I going to do? I did the unthinkable thing and I put it on a credit card. But what I did was I had that income to pay it right off.
Mm.
And I had everything else paid off so that that income went right to that debt and it was gone. And you know what? I haven't had, knock on wood, haven't had any problems since then. It's, are you serious about getting out of debt? Are you serious about going on that vacation? Things are going to happen. I promise you. And the thing is that you have to make it a non-negotiable, we're doing this.
Mm.
And when you show the universe, God, whatever you believe, that you want that so bad you're willing to do whatever it takes to get there, then things start to happen. Things start to come into place. Money starts to flow, and you don't even know where it comes from. But sometimes it happens that way. So, can I tell you another story?
Yeah, for sure.
I was listening to a Steve Harvey show one time,
Love him.
and he was talking about how people get are kind of born into blessings. So you get
Mm.
blessings in your life, but how you receive those blessings, and you have to ask for them. So
Mm.
you ask God, God, can I have my blessings? I'm really whatever, blah, blah, blah. He says, so if you don't think that somebody is going to ask for their blessings, then you ask for their blessings and, for them.
Mm.
So you see a downtrodden person or whatever, and you ask for their blessings. But he says, if you can't start there, then start with something simple. I like checks in the mail.
Mm.
And I said, okay, that's kind of strange. But I was like, you know what? This is fun. Let's try
Mm.
it. So, with me being a traveling nurse, I didn't get to come home, all the time. So I'd come home about every 6 months.
Mm.
So my sister would check the mail for me. Um, and she'd say, "Oh, you got to check in the mail. Oh, you got to check in the mail." And I'm like, I started noticing this because I'm saying this. I like checks in the mail. I like checks
Mm.
in the mail. So it's whatever energy you put out there, it's going
Mm.
to happen. So fast forward to a year and a half ago, we got a check in the mail for over six figures.
Whoa, 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 whoa. You didn't meditate or manifest, no, manifest that. You actually worked for that money.
I like checks in the mail,
Uh-huh. And then,
and that's how we started our buying our real estate. But that's all I did.
okay, take us back. Take us back. You're not suggesting that just because I like checks in the mail, decipher that process because the checks in the mail, we all want checks in the mail. I'm just not thinking though that you're suggesting that people can literally bring, like, manifest this to life. And if you are, good, take us there. How do people get six figures in mail? Like, how do you get six figures
I'm
in your
not, wait a minute.
mailbox because you good, take
I'm
us
not
there.
saying everybody is going to. I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm saying that what you speak and
Mm.
what energy you bring to the table is what's going to happen. So if you keep bringing this broke energy to the table by
Mm.
saying, "Oh God, we're so broke. Oh God, we're so, bad off. Oh, we're
Mm.
so horrible," then that's the energy that you're putting out there, and that's the energy that you're going to reciprocate. If you say, you know, I like money, we're trying to have a better, or we are having a better relationship with money, we're out there making money, so take things in a positive spin, things will start to change, and you'll start to have a better, more positive attitude about the money. And also asking for blessings. I mean, there are ways of doing things. And
Mm.
I'm not suggesting that, I'm this woo-woo kind of person that, magic happens, but I'm telling you the pattern is there. And we have seen money come to us in places we never, ever, ever dreamed.
Mm.
This came from a job from 2008.
Whoa.
We had no idea to even manifest that money, Prima. No
Mm.
way possible to know that that was coming.
Mm. So,
But I
so then
spoke,
what you're suggesting is just be clear on what you want. What do you
yes.
want? What do you want? Because I think the problem with most people is they don't know what they want. And so they're not
Exactly.
really, and I am very logical, practical, 3D. I live here in the practical world, but I know the power of knowing what you want and saying, you know what, God or whoever you believe in, this is what I want. I believe this is what you want for me. I believe I deserve this. And let the how happen the way it wants to. But what I find is that when you're clear on the what you want, the how will not happen because I don't know, like the universe probably doesn't know what you're looking for. So it for me it makes sense because I do this. I go, Lord, this is what I want to do. And I'm taking step one in faith or not, but this is what I want. And I just go, step one shows up, someone comes from this way, someone comes from this way. I actually do the work, but like what is clear is what I want. The how, I have no idea. And I never try to even figure it out because answers come from places that I least expect. But I know what I want, which is like, I think what she's saying, like, are you clear what you want? Because if you're clear what you want, somehow your steps will start moving towards that thing. Somehow the world will start scanning for the thing. I remember when I bought my car, it was a green car, and I thought it was, oh my God, I don't see green cars around here. This must stand out. The moment I moved it from the bond to my house, I saw 3 green cars exactly like that car. And I parked it and I started driving it. And I saw countless green cars in this. I was like, how did I never see these? I had never seen those cars because I wasn't aware of that car. But the moment I saw the picture on the internet and I started saying, I want this car, I'm going to get this car, then suddenly I started seeing them around. I started seeing them around. The money came, I bought the car, and then I was like, so there are thousands of these. Interesting. So I think it's the same principle. Like when you say, I like fat checks in the mail, every road is going to start scanning for that mail. And maybe the employer who laid you off 10 years ago decides to wake up to a dream that he was unfair. And now he wants to compensate everybody. Or it's crazy because there's a client of mine who had been manifesting 10K and I don't even understand manifestation. I don't understand how it works. But she was like, I need 10K. And I'm like, yeah, go get a client. And she was like, I don't know. I'm doing this thing called manifestation. I'm like, why don't you go get a client? Like, what are you doing manifesting on your bum in your pants? And then she said, no, there's this thing we are doing. It's called manifestation. And I was like, all right. And like 2 weeks later, she had paid into a program and the guy was sued and they refunded her 10 grand. And I was like, okay. So I don't know. These things happen, but do I know the science? I have no idea. But the only thing I know is that when you're clear what you want, the how will show up. That's all I can say. Kristie, do you have anything to add to that? Because I don't want people to think that, okay, I want money and it will come. But I think there is a level of commitment and non-negotiable way that your mind can make up its own decision and it just keeps pushing you towards what you want. I don't know if you have an experience like that. I feel like right now I'm being woo, I'm being so woo right now. But I know it's
No,
happening to me,
it's
it's
not.
happening to me.
It legitimately happens. Like you said,
Mm,
it's where you put your focus.
mm,
So going back to finances, when you
mm,
start putting your focus towards your finances, you're going to
mm,
find money. You're going to find holes in your budget. You're going to find where things are happening if you're looking for those sort of things. It's
mm,
not that you're woo-woo and all that. It's legitimately where you put your focus is where things will come abound,
mm,
manifest, whatever word you want to use in that sentence.
mm,
Um, so it's definitely a legitimate thing that happens. You know, you buy a green car, you buy a white car, now all of a sudden you see all these people with them. You know,
mm,
you buy a new purse, you see somebody with the same purse. You buy the new dress, you walk in and oh my God, 3 people have the same dress on.
Mm.
You know, it's not about you manifesting things necessarily. It's just how
Mm.
the universe works and how your thought pattern works.
Mm. I really believe in what you're saying. I believe it. I believe it. Because when I was 25, I suddenly got pressure from my peers to get married, to be dating someone, to be. And I was like, why? Why? If I haven't met the guy, why should I be seeing someone? Because you're 25 down. And I'm like, what about 25? What is wrong with 25? I didn't subscribe to that. And so what I did is I got a paper and I started writing everything I want from my husband. But I also had the things I never wanted that I would not subscribe to. And so I had this paper, and what was strange is every birthday of mine, I added 10 things. Every birthday of mine, I added 10 things. And so it couldn't fit on paper anymore. I started to write a book. And I had this book of everything I wanted in a man. And I remember one of my birthdays when I was getting to 30, my friend says, but you must be out of your freaking mind. Who has a list about a man that fills in a book? And I was like, my friend, this man exists. And until I see him, I am not getting married. And so I really got busy, as people were saying, I'm getting older. I really got busy writing more things. Like, okay, this year I have added this. This year I've added maybe 5, maybe 10, but I kept just adding. As I grew older, I just started adding my list. My list got bigger and bigger and bigger. I remember at one point, I wasn't even willing to go for coffee with a man that wasn't this man. I had to see all those things before I even said yes to a coffee. So I remember I had these like 10 or 5 things that I said, okay, if a man doesn't have these 5 things, I am not going to send him a second message or even meet him for coffee. And this is what I would do. When a man would say, oh, I like you, bam, 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 I would be like, sure, I would love to have a coffee with you, whatever it is. But this is usually what I do. I have a list, read through this list, and if everything sounds fine from there, we can have the coffee. And that list had everything I wasn't willing to do with someone who wasn't my husband. Won't be moving in, won't be having any relation, any intimacy with you, won't be cleaning none of your house. Or everything that, I won't be dating anyone who is, let me see. That condition of let me see. I don't know what I want, but let me see. I wouldn't be dating a man who is like, I don't know, my wife and I didn't work out, but we're not really divorced, but those situations. So everything was, and most men would just not move on from there. And some of them would say, you're right, we shouldn't do it. And some of them would get really angry, really defensive. And I said, it's working because it ended there. And I kept doing this until my husband comes, and I can guarantee you if there's anything in my book that he doesn't have, it's not. He actually has more things that were not in my book. And so when this man showed up, I was like, holy moly, this actually exists. He was in the UK, I was in Uganda. And he literally saw me on a Zoom call. And he decided, this is my wife. Within a month or 2 or 3 or something, he had shifted from the UK to Uganda. He had locked all of his belongings in a safe. And he said, I'm coming to Uganda. I'll take a hotel and I will be here until the day you're ready to get married. I want to be within access to you if you ever need me physically to help with anything. I am serious about this. That is why I'm leaving my country. There's no pressure on you to do anything with me, but I'm here. He stayed in my country for 1 year, and 1 year later we got married. So what you're saying happens, I just don't know the process other than a strong will and faith that you're not willing to settle for less. So when you talk about the 6 figures in a check, I can't believe that, but it takes some level of, I don't know. It takes something more than, I love checks in the mail. You really have to believe this thing will happen for you. You have to be dead serious on the fact that it's possible. Does that make sense?
Oh yes, most certainly. And that's why I say you have to go back to your why because, what if you hadn't have even said that you want a husband? What
True.
would that process have even looked like then?
Mm.
You might have not even gotten married, period, or you might have married the wrong person, that we all, including, did.
Well, I would have dated people that were not looking to get married. There's
Right,
people who are just dating to date. There's people who are
right.
dating to see. There's people who are dating because they're bored. There's people who are dating for dating because they feel they can't be alone. So I could have dated any of those people, but I was dead serious. If you're not looking for a wife, I won't do it. I won't go for
Yeah.
that coffee because it doesn't have to be me, but you have to have the intention where you're in a mind frame to get a wife. If this is not your intention, that's fine. I am just not in the market for men who are seeing as they make up their mind. Was it scary? Maybe, but I don't know. I just didn't want anything else. So, what should we say about our finances, or what do you believe helps when you're making up your mind? Like, you know what, this is what I want about my finances. What would be the mind frame in your own experience to decide about our finances, the lack of it, or whatever?
Um, well, for me, it was, come hell or high water, I'm getting out of debt. So for me, that was my why, was to get to zero.
Mm,
And I know people say, oh, well, you have to have some debt and blah, blah. No, 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 you don't.
mm,
Zero is zero. So when I got to zero, I felt the weight of the world, the weight off my chest, the weight off my shoulders that you wouldn't even know was there. And I am very skeptical about getting into debt to this day. You
mm,
know, um, people think, oh, well, you have to have debt to survive. You have to have a credit score and all that. And that's not true,
mm.
and the first step is making the decision and believing you can do it.
Make the decision. I am dead serious about becoming debt free, even if it kills me. I am dead set to having better finances, even if it kills me. I think the beauty of this is really when you can remove the financial strain from your home, the marriage gets lighter, the
Yes,
parenting gets lighter. Things get lighter when the money is going in the right direction.
yes,
Before, when
for
I
sure.
met you, you said to have a conversation about money with your spouse. I want you to go back to that. I thought that was very important. That one of the things that we do is we tell you to go and have a conversation with your spouse. And what I find is that sometimes the man will get the money, give it to the woman, and say, spend it however we need to. You're better than me at finances or whatever. But then he will come back and say, I can't believe I'm working every single day of my life and we're still struggling. Which then makes the woman feel like, okay, so now you don't trust that I'm doing the right thing or I'm making the right decision. Sometimes he gets to a place where he feels like, yeah, but we could have probably done better, done differently. Tell me about that. Does it require both parties to be aware, or can one person just take care of this? And if yes, what are the dynamics there? Because even having this money conversation can be a source of a fight.
It can be, but it also can be your solace, your
Mm,
place of, I'm not coming at you for a fight, I'm coming
mm,
at you for a discussion.
mm,
And if it turns into a fight, close your book, close your laptop, whatever, and walk away. You don't want it to be a fight.
mm,
And the some of my clients that I've worked with have been married the same as me, long time, and their husband doesn't want to be involved, period. I
mm,
did have a client like that, and she is doing beautifully. And now her husband is coming to her, talking to her about finances and what's happening and what's going on. So it can work with just one person as long as you start to show the difference in you, as long as you start to show the difference in the finances.
Mm.
And what I was telling another client of mine is that she was wanting her son to become a client. And I said, you're not going to be able to tell him, just like you're not going to be able to tell your spouse, but you
Mm.
can lay paid receipts around. You can lay bills with the word paid across them in full, you know, to show that you are serious about doing what you're doing. And it becomes a spirit change in you. And that's hard to understand, but it's easy to see in my clients when you have that Zoom session. It's
Mm.
just a, like you said, a lightness, a giddiness almost of, oh my God, I'm excited to pay my bills now. And oh my God, I know where the money's coming from. And it's just, it's an amazing feeling that I try to express to everyone going through this issue.
Wow.
And getting the spousal on board is important. And well, it's even more important if he is the one that's doing the spending.
Mm.
But you have to have those conversations in a very gingerly, light way
Mm.
to kind of make that make sense. And you have to kind of know where your spouse is coming from, whether he's a numbers person or whether she is a visual person or whatever. And you have to come at the conversation that way. So, like, if she wants to go on vacation and you have this debt to pay, you say, okay, well, when we get to this debt paid off, then you can have this vacation and make them littler steps to go through. Like instead of a 2 week vacation, oh, maybe it's 3 days.
Mm.
You can go on a vacation for a long weekend somewhere. Make those little steps along the way, and you both can have those benefits of the psychological change.
What did we miss out that people need to hear today? I think we covered the whole great. Is there anything you would think of or we needed to touch that we did not?
Well, actually, I do. What
Mm.
the problem that I had with nursing, or that I found with nursing, was
Mm.
that I could only really help the head that was in the bed, is what we call it.
Mm.
With getting your finances and your financial literacy up to date, you can change generations,
Mm.
just like I did with my son. I taught him extremely poor financial habits throughout his 30 years of living. And I
Mm.
had to go back and reteach all that and undo all of those bad habits. So it creates a generational education, and with that you can create a generational wealth.
It starts with you, it starts with the kids, because if you can do it as a mother, if you can do it as a father, it means your kids might be better with money because they are modeling you. And if we get better with money today, generation down, we change the generation. I love that. I love that. It's been a great conversation, Christian. I would wonder if someone was willing to kind of jump in and go, you know what, I am ready to change my financial situation. I want to get out of debt. And I would love you one-on-one. I understand you have one-on-one, you have course. Do you have group as well?
I'm getting ready to create group programs, yes.
So one-on-one, she's about to launch a group and she does have courses. But if I was to take step one, what would it be? Where would I go? Where would I need to go?
I have a website that you can go and look at my information, and you can book a slot with me, and that is christy.inspiritfinancialcoach.com. Look over all the information and book a spot with me.
Mm.
And that is a 1 hour consultation. And what that does is that develop between me and the client, potential client, that helps me to understand, kind of like you did with me, like understand where you're coming from and where we need to go. Also on Facebook as Kristie Reph. I'm on Instagram, Kris Reph, TikTok, traveling financial coach, and LinkedIn.
Amazing. All of the links will definitely be in the show notes. Thank you so much, Kristie, for being with us today. And to you who is listening, thank you so much for your attention. I really hope that this has served you. And as I said at the beginning, if you know anyone that needs to shape up their finances, they need to style up, they need to pay off that debt. Someone who's carrying debt and it's only getting worse and getting worse and getting worse. Would you kindly share this recording with them? Because I believe they need to meet Kristie. So what you can do to appreciate this guest is by sharing this episode with one person that needs to get out of debt. And as always, my friend, be sure to subscribe or follow, depending on where you're watching this from or where you're listening to this from. And do take a minute to review if a podcast episode speaks to you. The more I can get you to rate and review, the more I can get to do, the better guests I can get to have on the show, the more impact that we can all get to have. So please be involved, participate, because the World's Best Kept Secret is your podcast. It is your stage. It is your thing. And I am just a vessel. I am just a messenger. I am just guiding the conversations. But you get to build the empire. You get to decide what happens. You get to decide how we change the world, how we shift the world by deciding to share this information with those that I can't reach that need to see it. Again, I appreciate you for your attention, and I look forward to chatting with you in another episode. That is it, my friend. To listen to more exclusive interviews like this one, simply go to the World's Best Kept Secret podcast.com and select interviews based on preferred topic.